Thanks for joining us for video 4 in our homemade roller crimper tutorial. In our last video, we discussed all the parts that were used in creating our crimper. In this video, we'll be going over attaching steel crimper blades to our main rolling drums. Prior to attaching our crimper blades, to strengthen them against rock collisions, we attached 3 supporting braces or gussets to each blade. To do so, we simply tacked one gusset in the center of the blade and then tacked a gusset a ½ inch in from each of the outer edge of the blade. Each gusset was sure to be flush with the bottom edge of the crimper blade. This process was repeated for all the steel bars you need for your crimper. We found it helpful to use a piece of angle iron attached to the welding table to serve as a place to clamp our crimper blades at 90 degrees to the table edge. This ensured that each supporting gusset was tacked on similarly. Now that your gussets are attached, let's take a moment to talk about how these finished blades were arranged on our crimping drums. Our blades, which we wanted to be approximately 2 feet long, were offset between rows to ensure a smooth roll of the crimper as it pulled across a field. The number of blades per row was determined by the drum length. Each row of blades overlapped the alternating row by 1 inch to prevent cover crops escaping the crimping action. This overlap must be considered when determining the length of the crimper blades. Finally, the number of and spacing between rows of crimping blades was calculated based on our desire to have cover crops crimped every 6 inches. Here's a schematic of our central and wing crimper drums that shows the actual measurements we use for this build. If you're using a 16-inch outside diameter drum, the spacing of blades between rows should be the same. The only thing that might change is how long you make your blades based on the length of your selected crimping drums. Don't forget to make those blades long enough to ensure a 1-inch overlap between rows. For measuring and marking blade arrangements on the drums, we'll go straight to the shop for instructions.
So here we've got our template for where our blades are going to sit on the roller drum. What this is a 16-inch diameter piece of cardboard and then a bunch of shish kebab skewers, bamboo shish kebab skewers that I had in my kitchen. Measured out the distances between the blades that I needed on the outside edge, and then measured out how far the blades are going to be sticking off the edge, so I could essentially make a mock-up. And this has been really essential for us because it's the pattern that we use to actually mark the roller drums. What we've done is we've designated one skewer here as our lead skewer, and we've colored it black up here and marked it with an X. What we do is we hang this template just from the very tip of that same skewer. We come over to the edge of our roller drum and we let it hang until it's fitting all the way around the outside as close as we can get it. And pushing it on. At this point, we can use just a couple pieces of tape to secure this on the end so we don't have to worry about it moving as we go around and mark the end of our tube with a Sharpie marker for where our blades are going to be. Again, we do this on both ends, and then we'll snap a chalk line between marks on either end. Now that we have our template taped onto the end and secured, and our designated blade is the highest point on the drum, we need to doubly make sure that this topmost mark is specially marked on both ends of the drum so that when we start our chalk line, we know that we have exactly the opposite most marks combined via the chalk line. What we're trying to prevent is from having one mark on this end matching with a different or an offset mark on the other end of the roller drum. So we prevent that by making sure that our topmost blade is especially marked so we know where to match on both ends. Then it's just a matter of going in sequential order around the drum on both ends to lay down our chalk marks. So here we have this one marked well.
Now that you've marked where the crimping blades will be attached, it's time to weld the blades to the drums. It helps to have an extra hand with you to hold the crimping bars in the proper position while you tack them into place. There was more than one instance where the blade angle looked off after we tacked it on, but you can always make slight adjustments with a hammer before applying a finishing weld. Once you have all blades tacked, it's simple to go around and make all the finish welds. As you can see in our video, we elevated our roller drums to a working height by placing a long pipe through the center of the drum and placing each pipe end on a sturdy metal sawhorse. This method allowed us to rotate the drum around and work on all drum surfaces in a comfortable position. Use clamps to ensure the supporting pipe does not roll off the end of your sawhorse. Your drum should now resemble something similar to what will be mounted to the frame. In the next video, we'll show you how we enclosed the ends of the drums and inserted the axles.